Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, we're going to be building this beauty, a Ultima 20th anniversary from Kyosho. Why? Because that's kind of what we do on the show. Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, we're going to be... Hi and welcome to RCKicks. Ultima 20th anniversary of the from Kyosho to celebrate the Kyosho being in America. That doesn't really run, does it? Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, we're going to be building... So you're going to love seeing all the beautiful bits and pieces that are in this. No, you're not. Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, we're going to be building this, the Ultima 20th anniversary, basically to celebrate Kyosho being in America for 20 years. So in this episode, the plan is we're going to do a full detailed build of it. We're going to paint up all the body and totally finish it. Not only that, but I'm going to paint up a whole other body set from Marwan RC, so that it's going to have the option to be box art like this, but also I'm going to paint it up, and the decision is to do it as the Turbo Ultima, which is the white body with the red and black, I think it is. The only challenge is the rims that are on that vintage car are silver and they don't do them. So the choices are you can buy white ones that are not exactly the same. They are Ultima wheels, but not the exact same ones, and then spray them silver, or push the boat out and get the correct style of rim in alloy, which are £75, not including shipping to the UK. So you're probably looking at nearly £100. So I'll think about that one. Anyway, right, the first thing we've got to do is lay it all out. So better crack on. Right, we're all laid out, ready to go. So let's turn to page 12 and we kick off on step 1, bag A, which is building up the ball diff. Now, hopefully I can do this piece to camera once. Between you and me, I've already done it 4 times. But anyway, we'll carry on. So let's get the spanners out and give it a go and see how well this beauty goes together. I mean, look at that. Oh, yeah. So I've stacked up quite a lot of work for myself to do. Not only am I going to build up the whole chassis in this video, I'm painting up 2 sets of bodies in winter in the UK, where it rains every day. But fear not, I did actually manage to get it all finished and into this video. And then it started raining literally the second I finished. So the RC gods are smiling on me. Right, let's get the balls in the ball diff. That helps. Then we got to slap it together and move on. Well, that's what I thought, until things went sideways. Yes, I just started building up the ball diff And before you know it, I lost a whole day. Yes, it put me back a full day. Why? Well, turns out in this kit I was missing two tiny little parts that I just didn't have any spares for. Yep. So it's another day and I've had a bit of an issue. When I was building up the diff, I noticed that the BRG 100, which is a 2.6 by 6 by 1 millimeter, that actually fits above and below the bearings for the, whatever you call that, the diff bolt that goes all the way through, was actually missing from my kit, which is a bit of a first for me. You'd think building up so many kits I would see this more often, but in this kit, missing those two parts. Everything else seems to be there. So I reached out to Kyosho and they've got me replacement ones. So a massive thanks to Carl. Carl sent them to me overnight and we can carry on. So what I kind of did is, while that was waiting to come, I went on and did a few other bits which I filmed, which I'll fit in so it carries on making sense, if that makes any sense. But that's not your problem, that's mine. But the good news is I have the parts, so we can crack on and get it done. Now I know what you're all going to say, why didn't I just go and dig through one of my other Kyosho kits that I haven't built yet? I did try that, and for the life of me I couldn't find one exactly the same. Yeah, they're slightly different, and I wasn't going to go digging it out of a car that I've already built. It just wasn't worth it for that 24-hour delay. But as soon as it arrived, I could carry on. The only thing is, while I was building it up, I was praying there was nothing else missing from this kit. Not sure why those two were missing. The amount of Kyosho kits that I've built up over the last 4 years, and I've never had a single thing missing from them. Quickly before I get distracted, when you build up the diff, there is actually two sets of bearings that go in the middle. Make sure you put both of them in, don't just put one in and miss out the other one. Otherwise you'll be opening up the diff again and putting it in. No, I didn't actually do that this time, but it's just something to be mindful of. Also, there's three larger bearings, two on one side, one on the other. It's a bit of an oddball way, but that's how it's done. Don't forget your shims either. Sorry to interrupt your Kyosho Ultima 20th anniversary build, but they are stunning, aren't they? Would you like to win the chance to win one of these for less than a coffee? Yeah, quite a bit less these days, as coffee seems to have got more and more expensive. Anyway, I digress. So it comes with free worldwide shipping included in the ticket price. I'll try and buy it in your country if it's available as well, to save on any import duty fees that you might incur. So what are you waiting for? Would you like to pick up a ticket for one of these? Well, link in the description, or you can just Google Raffles RCKicks and it will take you straight to the page. Not only that, but I'm also raffling a Tamiya Evo Hornet totally for free. So you can get into that raffle for absolutely nothing and you can be in with a chance to win one of these beauties for less than the price of a coffee. But what are you waiting for? Actually, stay and watch the video first and then go. Don't forget to set the diff as per the instructions in the manual. After that, we can mount it into the diff housing. Now I put it in the right side, but actually it's easier if you mount it in the left side. I find that out in a minute. When I actually attach the top gear, I found that it doesn't clear the lip on the diff. So when you go to push it together like that, it doesn't work. So put the actual diff on the left side, then put the top gear in, and then put the housing on. Then it works. Then you're asked to pause working on the diff housing and go and build up the motor guard. Don't forget a little bit of Loctite on this as you're screwing into metal, but access is very easy, so if you're doing a shelf queen, it's not that necessary. Next, we fit the long bolts that go all the way through the diff housing and mount it to the motor mount plate. Now there's quite a few parts that you're sandwiching together here, so it can be a little bit fiddly as you just don't have enough fingers to hold everything and line it all up. But if you bear with it, take your time, you'll get it all together. You will have to undo these in a little bit further on because you're clamping everything together, but I'll cover that in a little while. Obviously, it goes without saying, don't over tighten these. You don't want to crush the living daylights out of the diff housing. Now, obviously, you want to Loctite any bolts that are going into metal. One thing I would kind of caveat to that is you sometimes have to loosen these off to adjust bits and pieces as you're adding new parts to this, as the diff housing is like the center of the rear of the car and everything bolts to it. So you might want to go easy on the Loctite until you've fully built it, and then you can also go back later on.
Okay, so the manual now wants us to build up the slipper, lay everything out first and then just slowly add everything. That's the best way to do it, that way you won't miss anything. This is a very simple slipper, there's not many parts to it, but sometimes there's quite a few little shims and all kinds of bits and bobs that you just want to make sure not only are in there, but are in the right orientation. Right, now that's done, we can turn our attentions to the second most thing I don't enjoy doing, turnbuckles. Now if you add a little tiny bit of lube to each end, it does make life a little bit easier, as well as using the correct tools will save your fingers. And yes, I know you're about to see me use an MIP Allen wrench, totally not what it was supposed to be used for, but I found this is the easiest way. Don't judge me, even though I know you are. So I'm about to make my first mistake of the whole kit build. I know what you're thinking, wow, that makes a change. Usually it's in the first 2 minutes you make a mistake. Yes, I know, but this is a really easy one. So I've just rushed ahead and started attaching everything to the rear tower. Have you guessed what I've done wrong yet? If you notice on one side, there's actually recessed bolts. And I've thought that it's the same on both sides. So those 4 bolts that go through the middle, yeah, they're countersunk. And I've just mounted all the hardware on the wrong side. So I've had to take it all off, swap it round, and then fit it back again. But because this is YouTube land, you don't have to see that. I can just click my fingers and then it's all fixed. Also, you may have seen a rather large RC YouTuber trying the boom thing. Yeah, that doesn't work. I tried that. Yeah, as you can see here, on one side it's countersunk, on the other it's not. Yep, I built it all up on the wrong side. Idiot. Boom, I guess. There you go, it's all fixed. Yeah, that was a waste of 5 minutes. Anyway, let's get it mounted correctly. Now some people comment, why am I not using electric screwdrivers? Well, I'm ambidextrous, so I can use a screwdriver in both hands. That's right, but sometimes I do use an electric screwdriver. It just depends what it is. I'd rather use it for dismantling than putting together, as it's really easy to round stuff off. But now and again, when the wrists get a bit tired, I do resort to it. Now I'm just about to mount the rear tower to the diff housing, and I've had to back off 2 bolts as it's too tight to actually slot in. So by doing that, it then makes the diff separate slightly, and then I can actually slide it in and then replace the bolt. That's why I mentioned earlier that maybe you want to Loctite them later on. Your kit might be slightly different, but I definitely couldn't get it to fit until I backed them off. Right, now we can mount the diff housing to the chassis plate. Just to note that the bolts are different lengths. There's 2 different lengths that you've got to put in the right positions. It's a little bit complicated to see in the manual, so just pay attention. Next, we've got to fit the lower arms and the pivot pins. Now the back plate that holds the pivot pins in place slides underneath the motor mount. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it to go through, so I had to back off those 2 bolts that you see there, so that it separated it enough so I could slide that plate in to actually secure the pivot pins. After that, I just did it back up again. Now, while building up this kit, I had no binding in the arms whatsoever. So if you've got any binding issues, make sure you haven't made a mistake or you've missed something out. One thing I did struggle with a little bit was these universals, pushing through the hub to actually get it seated totally. So when you put the hex on, the pin would actually go through the hole. I struggled with that. I'm not sure why, but eventually it clipped in and then I could do it up. But for quite a while, I thought it was going to be really tight and the hole wasn't totally out of the bearing. The rear hubs are identical, so it doesn't matter which side, there's not a left and a right one. It would be really nice if you could swap out these plastic hubs for alloy ones that match the rest of the kit. That would be a nice upgrade to do. I do like the anodizing colour that they've picked. It's kind of like a bronzy brown, but I really like it. It looks really sort of upmarket, and I like the logo on the back for the 20th anniversary.
Do you still
Whoops, almost missed my second mistake, putting the tie rods on. When you're attaching them to the tower, make sure you get them round the right way, otherwise you're going to have to take them off and swap them around. Yes, I did put one on the wrong way round and I noticed it later on. So yeah, don't do that. But some good news, the front tower doesn't matter which way around, there's no countersunk holes. Good to know. Right, let's snip out the front lower arms and then get them fitted to the car. Yeah, where's a hammer when you need one? Right, so where are we? We're putting in the lower arms and we're going to use the pivot pins, slide them in. Again, no friction problems whatsoever and no slop either, so I was really quite impressed. Sure, you could probably shim out this car if you're going to take it racing, but all in all, the actual fit and finish, bang on. And I think we'll call that done. Next, we've got to attach the front arms and uprights to the chassis. Again, just pretty much the same as we did on the rear diff housing. There's 4 bolts, 2 are longer than the others, so make sure again you don't get them the wrong way round. The reason 2 of them are longer is because we've got that little front bumper and there's a little extra thickness because of the bumper. So that's the rear of the car done, and the front. Next, in the manual, we turn our attentions to building up the shocks. Whoopie-doo, my fun stuff. I love shocks, yay. To be fair, these shocks actually went together pretty easy, apart from the little gasket, the round gasket that goes in the collar. For some reason I struggled with that, don't ask me why. Now obviously these are not as good as modern shocks, there's no bleeder valve for instance, so getting rid of trapped air, trapped wind can be a bit of an issue, but I didn't have to fight these, they went together okay. There's quite a few bits and bobs that go on the shaft, and then I had to use some green slime just to protect the rubber. I think that's enough innuendos, so we'll move swiftly on.
Whether it's true, all the things you said you couldn't do, not in
This is the only bit I struggled with a little bit. These holes didn't line up with the carbon part and the alloy chassis. I had to kind of like crimp them in by bending them slightly to get them to line up. But once I did that, they started to line up okay. It's just something, being that the whole kit goes together so well, that's the only thing where the holes were slightly off. But I'm guessing when they make that chassis, they have to bend over those parts and then they flex back a fraction. There was a change in the manual. There was a supplement sheet. Not sure what was different. I decided that I obviously am not going to fit a Kyosho ESC. I have actually got one in one of my cars, but they are a little bit expensive for what you get, whereas I had this one. Now there is a little bit of extra space behind the battery position if you're going to go across the chassis, so I put it in there, tucked it out of the way, easy enough. It is a bit of a shame that the electronics plate that you see here is not carbon either, so whether there's going to be an upgrade version or I'm guessing someone's going to do one as an aftermarket, that would be a nice upgrade, especially if you could match the carbon to go with the carbon top deck. Even though this is a shelf queen, I did have the electronics, so I thought I would put them in it. Maybe in the summer when it's nice and dry, I'll take it for a bit of a spin in the garden and get some footage. Also, if there's some upgrades down the line, I'll get it back on the show and then maybe we'll do a bit of driving as well as fitting a few upgrades in it. But we don't know. And being that it's the middle of winter and outside is awful, yeah, I'm not taking this outside. Because I could fit the ESC in the lower deck, it actually freed up quite a lot of space. I'm pretty sure when I built my Javelin, I really struggled with space for the electronics, but this didn't seem to be an issue at all. Fitting the steering servo is a little bit tricky, being that you actually drop it down inside the chassis, especially when the top deck's already fitted, but they've actually drilled a hole in the bottom, so you do have access to do up those two bolts that hold the servo in place. So we're just buttoning up the last few things on the chassis before we turn our attentions to the two bodies that I've got to paint up and cut the decals out and fit them. But we've got to put the motor in it, the pinion, a spur gear, the cover for both. Got a brushed vintage motor that I'm going to put in it for now. I'll probably swap it out for something a little bit more Kyosho down the line, but it'll do for now. And it's minty fresh and it's got a nice bit of colour to it. So yeah, I guess. I did struggle with this decal a little bit. There's actually a lip on the spoiler and I'm just trying to line it up underneath that. But because I cut out some of the areas, sometimes when you go to lay it down, it doesn't lay down dead flat. Also, there is a recess right at the bottom there that I've got to make sure that I get into, otherwise there'll be air on that Kyosho logo on the rear spoiler, and I don't want that. Now I always cut out these, I love these little cartoons, and I put them on the rear spoiler. I've done it on my other one, so I'm kind of matching them together, but I do it on an angle just to make it look a bit more sort of, you've got like the Kyoshos on in front of it, and then the actual buggy is in front of the other text. I just like the way it looks. Obviously it's not box art. Right, now the spoiler's finished, we can fit it to the car and then turn our attentions to getting the bodies done. Now there's one more small job to do before I turn my attention to the bodies, and that's swapping out the rear tyres. The ones you see here are the kit tyres. Now I've got some Marwan RC's vintage blocks that I'm going to fit, so I just pop them off and then I'll fit these. Obviously I'm not going to glue them, being that this is a shelf queen, but I just love that vintage look and it matches my mid as well. You can still fit the kit tyre decals onto these. There's no issues between these and the kit ones. They go on fine, there's enough space, but you've got to put the tyres on the reversed, because on the actual face that's now facing inwards actually has Bridgestone and a load of text. So if you decide that you would rather get your Tipex pen out and colour them all in, you can. But due to time restraints and me just being that little bit lazy, I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm just happy to use these stickers. Now, as this body was never designed to be fitted onto the Ultima, you have to actually cut it out in a different way. So what Kyosho have done to make your life a lot easier, they've given you some transfers that you actually put on the body, like you can see here, and then that tells you where to cut. I actually found this to work really well, and there was only a little bit of fettling to do afterwards to get the body on and off the chassis easily without struggling. So whoever created these line cutout decals did a really good job. Whoever came up with the idea to do a rectangle body mount hole, yeah, that's a lot more challenging, and thanks a bunch. One thing I could highly recommend getting if you're going to be cutting out a lot of bodies is a set of files, as it really helps to do all the edges that you can't get into, and if you're trying to square off an edge or you want to round off an inside edge, little files really come in handy. Now, one thing that's going in my favour is that both these bodies are basically one colour, so masking is not going to be too much of a challenge. So I've laid down a few coats of the cobalt colour, whatever you want to call it, and then I backed it in white, then I backed it in silver. After that I'm going to back it in black. Now I just remove the window masks and then I just smoke the windows, and that's this one done. I wish the other one was as easy as this one. Not too sure about the colour yet, but we'll have to compare it against the rims once I remove the protective film. Now I'm sure a few of you, especially people in the UK, are wondering how I managed to paint this body outside when it's like 2 degrees. Well, it basically involves running outside, spraying it, running back inside, stinking the house out, then upsetting the wife, then running back outside, spraying it again, then running back inside, then upsetting the wife. So we just remove the protective film and then we'll fit the decals. Now the decals are pre-cut out for you, which I don't like. Yes, I know it saves you a little bit of time, but there's so much excess around the decal, being that it's pre-cut. You kind of go back in and cut them anyway, which I don't like doing because little bits get everywhere, and then sometimes those little tiny fragments get under the stickers. I wish you could just cut out your own decals. It's just easier. Now the decal design on this body is super simple. Once you've laid down the blue lines, and there's 2 stickers, one that goes across the top and then one on the side. That's probably the most challenging aspect of the decals for this kit. I didn't stay totally box art. There is a few decals that I've put in places that just doesn't belong. This one is a classic example of that. I really like this decal. It's kind of like a handwritten one, so I fitted it. It also matches the mid that I did as well. I did kind of mess up this black bar decal a little bit. As you can see from the side there, the color is still shining through, but I can fix that with the window surround that I cut out later, so it's no big challenge. I wish you could put the lower side decal on first and then the top one, but you need the top one to actually give you the position of the second one. But it would be nice if you could fold the top decal from those stripes over onto the other one, but I can't really see how you would do that.
After many hours, I finally finished the 20th anniversary Ultima. Beautiful, goes together really well, exactly what you expect from Kyosho. If you haven't tried a Kyosho, I can highly recommend one of the Legendary series. It really is a beautiful bit of kit and they go together really well. Overall, my only niggling thing is that the body doesn't really match the rims, and I just don't like that. I don't know why it's actually a darker, it just doesn't have as much green in it as you do in the rims, but it does change depending on the light. Sometimes it looks much closer than others. My plan is, and I've already bought them, I'm going to put the white rims on anyway. Also the white rims kind of go with the Turbo Ultima body. So I'm going to try that and see. If I don't like the white wheels, I'm probably just going to blow these in a little bit as it's your shelf queen, and then they'll match. But the difference between that paint and the paint I mixed up myself was quite a lot. So there's definitely more green in it, whereas this one's more blue. But then when I was talking to the family today, they actually, all of them preferred this colour to the greeny version. Make of that what you will. As for doing the Turbo Ultima body, that came out really nice. Didn't even realise it had this like rear spoiler on it. The decals on this are orange, whereas a lot of the pictures are red, so I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know whether that's just a different option you had. I haven't even bothered to look into it, I've been so busy. But I decided that I would actually paint the wing sides in orange to match the orange. I thought if I did them red it would just look a bit weird, but overall the body's really nice. Now the spoiler does mount completely differently, so you're going to have to change the rear spoiler mount if you want to upgrade it and change it to a body like this, but you can do it, no issues at all. And then you need to get, it's a the rear spoiler is held on with the kind of very old-fashioned sort of metal coat hanger bent, but you can obviously do that as well yourself. Decals went on no problems at all, very easy. The only thing that I did differently really is that the windows are actually blacked out, whereas I like to do them smoked, so I smoked them and then I did the edging with black edging tape. With the actual Ultima 20th, there's stickers for the windows, but I don't really like those, so I smoked the windows, master buff smoked them, then I just cut the blacks around and fitted that, and it just looks a bit more professional as well. So I did that on both of them really, and it came out really fine. The black thing here was a bit of a mistake. I thought that that was a big sticker. I didn't even really look into it, I was so busy I just kept going and going, but it wasn't, so I had to go and spray it in from the outside, which is fine. It looks fine and it goes in really nicely and it all curves well. So I wish Kyosho would actually release the Turbo Ultima. This body is really retro. I really like it. I haven't really paid much attention to them, but a lot of people really like them. And now I've done the body set for them, I kind of want the original one to come out so that we can build up as well. But you never know, they might do it down the line. But if they don't, well, you have the option of buying one of these and then converting it if you want to. Overall, I'm really pleased with it, and it's a gorgeous bit of kit. I wonder what it would go around a track like. I wonder if it will be anywhere as good as the JJ. That I don't know. I think it's maybe a little bit heavier. Don't forget, if you'd like to win one of these, link is in the description for the price of a coffee. So what's next, I hear you cry? Well, we're sticking with Kyosho, and now we're going to be doing this. So in an upcoming video, we're going to be building this, the brand new just released plasma, and this shouldn't be quite as heavy going as this had. Thanks very much, see you on the next one, bye bye.